or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess, and today I'm going to kind of do a wrap up of my summer project. This is not all of the books that I've read in July or August. I have just given up on doing wrap ups for those, but these are the books that was selected for the project that I was doing with my patrons. So there are 6 books that came out in July and August, and I read them really because I was like, let me stay. I'm not always good at reading new releases, and I wanted to read some new releases, see what was coming out, and if Goodreads, you know, had a good list of books. And so I'm going to tell you about all the books, and as I go through all of them, you can make up your mind what I think about Goodreads list. I'm just gonna go in order that I read the books. So the first one I read and finished was the longest one of this project, called Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Moreau. This came out June 7th, so I was wrong. Also included June, but it was on this list. And I wasn't sure at the beginning because it just said Ordinary Monsters on Goodreads, and it's quite long, it's 672 pages, the hardcover copy. And I didn't know if it was part of a series, but now it says The Talents Trilogy, which is frustrating because I know a lot of people can relate, and where you like get a chunky fantasy and you're like, oh my god, it's gonna be a standalone, and then later you're like, number 1. But I do want to continue the series, so that should tell you something. So Ordinary Monsters is, I believe, a young adult. This says adult. I don't know this imprint. Flatiron Books, is that adult? Okay, maybe it's adult. And it's a fantasy set in, I believe, Edwardian England. And essentially this story has kids who have powers, but it's less like wave a wand magic powers, and they're more like mutants. I think I've seen people compare it to like X-Men meets, I forgot what they said it meets, but they're more like mutants. They have something that's different about their body, and that allows them to have a different ability. Like somebody can make themselves invisible, or the other person can like use all their cells and stuff and can conjure it up into dust, and the other person can, no matter what happens to their body, they can heal, stuff like that. So we start out with a story with like 2 agents who are from England, and I believe we have, well, there's another part of the story that starts out, but I'm not gonna go over that part. But they're going to different parts of the world essentially to track down these kids, because basically they're all orphans, to bring them back to essentially this academy, this institute that's in Scotland. So we don't know if this is a good or bad place. Like what are they being taken to? Are they being taken there to learn? Are they being taken there to be studied? And so we have a cast of characters. Mainly we have these 2 kids who are found, and then once they get to Scotland, there's some other youth of varying ages, some who've been there for a while, and you know, and they're at the Scotland thing. Here is what I really liked. I love the setting, and I really got attached to some of the kids. Charlie and Marlowe, loved them. I did start out reading this physically and had to finish it with audio because I was in my weird reading mood. And while I like the narrator for most voices, the narrator for Charlie, or it was the same narrator, but he put on this southern accent for Charlie and I hated it. Charlie is from like, I think he was from New Orleans, somewhere in the South in America. And I was like, and he was like an English or maybe a Scottish dude who was the narrator. He needs to work on a southern accent. But besides that, overall, I enjoyed the audiobook. Oh wait, and then there was an accent for someone who was either from England or Scotland, I can't tell, but she had a really thick accent, and like I had to slow the audiobook down to like hear what he was saying for her. So I don't know, it depends on how you feel about the narrator, so maybe give a sample to the audiobook if you were thinking about it. But anyway, okay, love the setting, get really attached to a couple of the characters, and I love a kind of mutant story. And this is like magic school adjacent, because it's really not a magic school. They do learn, you know, how to manipulate their powers and really like hone their powers, but it's not really like magic school. But like I loved the X-Men movies, well, the first. We're not gonna get into that. So this gave me a little taste of that. And then I thought like the descriptors were really great, like the writing itself in moments where he was describing like somebody conjuring up their magic and I could see it in my head, or like also really gruesome parts where the kid who could heal himself, like, you know, would slice his arm open to pull out something. I thought that was very vivid in its imagery, and I felt like it was a really interesting story. And we have a villain that's just more than, ooh, I'm a bad guy, because there's history to why. I will say, what stopped this from being like a favorite is, well, part is my reading mood, so I don't know how much of that affected how I felt about the book. And also that I had this weird feeling where at times I felt it was too long, and by the time I got to the end of it, I was like, well, I feel like certain parts could have been cut out, but I wanted other parts added in, where there was parts to like the history of some of the people and the institute that I wanted more information about, or kind of the world in general that I wanted more information about. And then other things I'm like, I wish we wouldn't have spent as much time on maybe some travel parts, or some of the parts where we flashback, even though the flashbacks are important. So it's not necessarily like, if this book had been this length, but it had taken out what I thought was filler and added in more context, more world building, I think it could have been really good. But the way it ends, of course, I was like, well, this can't be a standalone. And then I went to Goodreads and saw it's the first in a trilogy. So I definitely want to continue with the trilogy. I don't know when that'll be coming out, if it'll be a time that I have time and want to reread the first one to see if, you know, I'm in a better headspace then and can enjoy it more. But I still really enjoyed it. I thought it felt new enough. Like, I'm not saying it's wholly original, but it felt fresher than some other things I've been reading recently. And I think the setting really just caps it off. So I don't know, I really enjoyed it. And so I will be looking forward to continuing once the next one comes out. So I think I said I would give it like a 3.5, 3.75, round up to a 4. I hadn't rated any of these on Goodreads when I finished them to like save it for this video. So that one rounding up is getting a 4-star. I read What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, which I own, and this I'm mad about because it's a novella and I cannot stand the cost of novellas. I want authors to get their pay, but it's very frustrating to buy a book that's this big and it's like the same price as a book that's this big. Whatever. So What Moves the Dead is a retelling, reimagining, I'm gonna say here, I don't really know what the difference is, anyway, of Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher. Have not read that. I really haven't read any Poe besides what we might have read in school, which was eons ago. So I have not read this original source material. But the cover and a little bit of the synopsis intrigued me, and so the wait was too long at the library, so I bought it. So this takes place in England, I believe, and we have this person who's narrating the story, and they were in the army, they're in the war, and now that's over, and they're going to visit old friends who live in this house of Usher. And because they received this letter that one of them is sick and not doing well, and so you meet some characters along their way. There's like this woman who studies mushrooms and stuff, who I can't remember her name, but I think she was probably my favorite character. She's very kind of like kooky, zany, I'm into nature kind of lady. And then there is like whoever comes with him. He had a different name, but I think of him as like a footman, you know? And then he gets to the home. His 2 friends are there, their brother and sister, and they have an American doctor there. And they're both, well, the brother is surprised that he came because the sister sent the letter. And so he can see they're both very frail, thin, pale. They're not looking good. Neither is the house. The house is in disarray. It's like falling apart. It's very damp, and, you know, shutters falling off the hinges, kind of just like spooky looking, isolated, kind of decrepit house. And so really the plot of the story is figuring out what is making them so ill, particularly the sister, because she's way worse off than the brother. And the person who's narrating, they talk about like where they came from, and they have this really unique way they use pronouns in their language. So that's part of the story. And then figuring out what is it that is causing this illness. Is it the house? Is there mold? Is it just some kind of like disease is the water. There's lots of mushrooms. There's these weird hairs, not rabbits, but like hairs around. So it's like figuring out what that is. It's very short. Obviously, it's a novella. And I don't know how many pages. I read it relatively quickly. I listened to the audiobook. And I just was bored. I feel like my description was giving it more credit than it should have. I'm so disappointed because a lot of people really love this. And I said this because I did vlogs for each of these books for my patrons. And I felt that after reading this, because I think it's classified as like gothic horror or just gothic genres, subgenres. I'm not great at it, but I think this is considered gothic. This also was very similar to Mexican Gothic. After I read this, or like while I was reading it, Bethany during some sprints, or maybe it was during sprints, was saying that if you like Mexican Gothic, you would like this, which I think is very true. They're very similar stories. I'm not going to say it's exactly the same thing because I think that's not fair since the source material was first and this is kind of just like a reimagining of it, whatever. I don't know. They are very similar stories. So if you like one, I think you like the other. But I just don't know if Gothic is for me because for some reason, again, during this vlog, I Googled like the definition of Gothic, like some of the attributes that people attribute to Gothic. And it has some of those, I guess, but I just feel like when I think Gothic, I think of The Haunting of Hill House. Not the book, okay? I have not read the book. I'm thinking about the show. And obviously there's very different mediums, right? A book versus a show, but just like from the Gothic works I have read, which I will say have not been many, I never really get that sense of dread, of like deep, dark, enclosed spaces, isolation, tension. Like I don't feel that. I didn't feel that in this. And so I just was like, all right, what is it? And then we got what it was and I was like, all right, close the book. There was no like, there was no great moment for me or you know, none of that. It was just like, all right, can this be over? So I almost feel like, I feel like this should be a 3-star because it's just so not memorable for me. But then I was like, it's so not memorable. I was bored that I'm mad and I don't even want to give it 3 stars. So it's like a 2. But then 2, usually I have a lot to say, but I don't have much to say that I was bored. So I don't even know what to give it. But I did not have a good time. If you feel like you have a relatively good grasp on what I like to read and you have any story that's considered Gothic that you would like to recommend to me, please let me know so I can try it out and then maybe I know Gothic is not for me. But yeah, what moves the dad? Nothing. The dad is asleep. So am I. Then I read The House Across the Lake by Riley Seeger. I had a video a while back talking about authors that had one more chance with me, and Sir Mr. Riley was on there, and that's it. I'm done. I'm done. This story started out fine, where I was like, okay, this is gonna be a domestic thriller. We're getting run-of-the-mill things, the way the setup, not too bad. Again, I listened to the audiobook because we have this person who is like the daughter of a famous actress. She's also one herself, does stuff on Broadway, yada, yada, yada. But her husband died. He drowned in this lake. And so she's kind of been, oh, sorry, Nigel, kind of been spiraling and drinking a lot. And so her mom is like, go out to the lake house, take some time, get away from the city. So she's at this lake house. There's not that many people there because I think it's fall. And some new people have moved in like across the lake where she can see their lake house, and it's a couple. And so in, of course, domestic thriller way, she nosy as hell and got binoculars looking over there. And she also meets the wife because the wife was swimming in the lake, but then she looked like she was drowning, so she went to go save her. And so then, you know, she's like, oh my God, you saved my life. So of course her and her husband come over for dinner, like, we want you to come over here, you know, they become friendly. But then it seems like the wife goes missing. And of course, Miss Nosy is like, it's the husband. And she's binocularing and she's getting her neighbor in it like, I think I heard something. Did you see anything? They're like, no, but I think I heard something too. And they're being nosy. So I'm like, okay, regular setup, domestic thriller. Let's figure out where this is going. To the book's credit, it does not go where I thought it was going to go. However, not a great thing because there was no setup for the way this book just went. We were just plotting along. You know, normally you get little hints, a little drop here, a little drop there. You're like, and then it starts to like, and here's a twist. And you're like, oh my gosh. And then you think back to certain moments where you're like, oh yeah, they were setting it up like that. No. Riley said, do, and he said, boop, like, boop. That was one mention. And then he goes, like that. What this? And I was like, the fuck is this? I was so annoyed at the way this turned. I don't know. I feel like mentioning what kind of twist this was will give it away. I don't even, whatever. If, in 3, 2, 1, I'm going to tell you what it was. So if you don't want to hear it, mute this. And as soon as I put my hand down, then you can unmute it. Wow. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so he literally mentions that there is like one of the people at the lake tells this like haunted story about like, ooh, spirits in the lake. And then 55-60% into the book, it's not that. So the wife comes back, and so she hasn't been killed, but turns out she did almost kind of die when she drowned in the lake in the beginning, and now she has the spirit of the main character's dead husband in her. What? Hated it. Okay, I've stopped talking about that part. But yeah, once, like, at first I was just going along with it. I'm like, wow, this is nothing special. Plotting along. And then it just went left. And I was, the rest of the book, just rolling my eyes so hard because I thought it was so freaking stupid. So fucking dumb. I wish Riley Sager would write a man. Not like that would make this story overall better, but I just wish, like, why can't his main characters be men? It's getting weird now. I also think he's putting out these books like this. Granted, I've only read this one and I read Final Girls, but I'm just like, maybe take some time. Maybe work on your craft a little bit, because this is terrible. I do not recommend. It's whack. Save your time, save your eyeballs. Do not read this one. I would give it 2 stars. Next, I read The Daughter of Dr Moreau by Silvia Moreno Garcia. Okay. I read Mexican Gothic, which I mentioned earlier, by this author. That is the only other work of hers that I've read. And I thought it was fine. I think I gave it 3 stars. Again, don't have a good track record with Gothic. Is The Daughter of Dr. Moreau supposed to be Gothic too? Let me see. I keep wanting to say Dr. Monroe. It's Moreau. Let's see what Goodreads says. Although you can't always trust Goodreads. So it says historical fiction, Gothic, horror, mystery. Who knows, child? Oh, again, TLDR, I was bored. We have, this is in Mexico, the Yucatan Peninsula. We have the Dr. Moreau, we have his daughter, and this white dude who comes along, who's basically racked up a lot of debt and needs a job. And this doctor has experiments, basically hybrids, which are like humans and animals together, that have made kind of a human, but still have animalness to them. And he has this nice like estate and everything, but it's being funded by someone else. And I don't know, he's supposed to be like doing research and stuff for them, and I don't think it's going well, or he's not working as fast as they would like. And so they come to check on that, and there's some unpleasantness, and there's questions of, are they going to shut it down? And then he's like, where are we going to go? So then he's like, I want to marry my daughter off to one of you so you can have money, and that means she has money, then I have money, and I can keep running my experiments. And that's kind of the gist of it. And I was bored. Like, I wish the story focused more on the hybrids and like why he started this, what exactly he did, like how did he think of this, like the kind of the science-y but you know still creepy, is it ethical, that part of the story. But it really was more about the family dynamics, like him and his daughter, and her and this person he's trying to marry her to, and then the random dude who came to work there and his feelings for her, and then her feelings for the hybrids because some of them are her friends. And that was kind of the story, and I didn't really care. The this is only 2 books that I've read by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, but I don't know if I want to read any more. If I don't like really hate your book, I usually try to give an author 3 chances, but at this point I'm like, should I? Or should I just like, I don't know. I know people love her and I wish I did, but it just didn't work for me and I was so bored. Like we had to go to Dallas last minute to get Andrew's car, because why would the military deliver his vehicle to where he actually is? Let's make him drive hours away to get it. Anyway, so we had to last minute drive to Dallas to get his car. So he drove up there, and then coming back, obviously he was driving his car and I was driving another one. So I had the audiobook on for like 2.5 hours of the drive. And then in the last hour, it was getting dark, I was getting sleepy, and I was so bored by the book that I had to turn it off and put on some music. So it wasn't for me. I don't know. I'm not against family drama, but it wasn't enough family drama. It wasn't enough mess. It was more just like the dynamics and not enough mess. I was counting and I was like, wait, I was going to tell you the last one and I realized that was only 5. Okay, so this is out of order, but I also read The Woman in the Library by Silari Gentile. This is a mystery and the premise sounded really cool, like 4 people in a library, someone's murdered, ooh, who did it? And so I thought this was, these people are stuck in the library and we don't get out until we figure out who murdered the person. And it's not. So the book starts out and you have the 4 people in the library. They don't know each other. They hear a scream. They kind of all look to each other and then they start talking from there. And it's like, what happened? It's like, oh, maybe it was a joke. Maybe someone saw a spider. And then they leave the library because nobody finds anybody. And then you find out about who was murdered, where they were discovered later on. And so I was like, it just felt removed. Like I would forget, like, oh yeah, we have a main murder here that we need solved. And also this was like a story within a story. So the story of the 4 people in the library who hear the scream is the book. And then we get that, but we also then will switch back to the POV of the person who's writing the story, and then also they're sending the book as they write it to like a beta reader, and so we're getting the beta readers like emails back and forth to the writer, and then we're also getting the actual story, and I didn't like that. A story within a story rarely works for me. It did not work in this one, and I felt bored. Like if they had stayed, I don't even know. If it would have been not the story within a story and we just had the story of the 4 in the library and they had to stay because they're in the Boston Public Library, which is pretty big. And so not even just 4 people, right? There were a certain amount of people in here. There's a scream and we have to keep like 10 people in the library until we can figure out who it was. I definitely would have been more invested in this, but this one, I just didn't care. The communication between the actual author and the beta reader, and then in the story and the 4 people, so there's 2 guys, 2 girls, and their dynamic and romance and oh this and this. And also a part that took me out was as the story is progressing and it's like, oh, is this person the killer or does this person have something to do with it? Then the beta reader would be like, oh, I see what you're trying to do here. Oh, it can't be that obvious that it's this person. And for some reason that just, I don't know, it like took me out of the story. I was like, no, I don't even care to guess or try to put it through, or like put it together. I just want it to be over. I just did not have a good run in this project, as you can see. But yeah, it did not work for me. I was bored. Once we got to the end, it was like, okay, I don't know. So that was a flop again. And then lastly, I already have a video for this one, which I'll link, and I read Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, which, surprise, surprise, I did enjoy for the most part. Didn't love it, but I didn't hate it like I did The Love Hypothesis. But I do go into greater detail in that video if you'd like to watch it. But TLDR, I don't love it, and I think it's because of Ali Hazelwood's writing. It's like too try hard in some parts, too like on the nose, and too like trying to be quirky. But I felt that this book was better than The Love Hypothesis. The characters felt more fleshed out and more like well developed. I loved the hero in this one. The heroine was less, I'm a quirky science girl, but she still had those attributes, and they both still were scientists. And there were some other elements I didn't really like, but then other things I really did. So overall, I enjoyed my time. I'd give it like a 3.5. And also I mentioned in that video that I've been in a weird reading place where I can only listen to audiobooks, and that was the first physical book that I've read because the wait at the library was super long. So I bought it, which I was pissed at first, but I'm actually glad that I did, because there's some parts in there that I just like want to make notes of and go, ooh, swoon, Levi. But I won't flap my gums about it here because this video has gone on long enough. If you want more thoughts about like the recent conversations that have been going on about Allie Hazelwood on Twitter, watch that video. So all in all, those 6 books, I enjoyed Love on the Brain and Ordinary Monsters the most, which I really did not see that happening. I mean, I hoped to love Ordinary Monsters, but I really was hoping that The Woman in the Library was going to be better. The Daughter of Dr Moreau, Riley Sager, I was like, So, and What Moves the Dead. So that's it. There were some other good books on the list, but I had already read them or planned to read them. These are the ones that won the top vote. The 2 runner-up were Carrie Soto's Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which I probably wouldn't love. I don't know. I don't love Taylor Jenkins Reid like other people do. She's fine. And then there's been, conversations around her continuation to write Latin characters while not being one herself. And then the other one was like Lapvona. I don't know. I'm definitely not pronouncing that right, but I can put in the cover here, which I still kind of want to read that one. So I do have it. I am on the wait list for it at the library. Okay, all that to say, is it me or is it publishing? Like, is it the new releases or is it me? Am I in a slumpy? Is Ashley here? Is Ashley from Bookish Rum here? Am I in my slump era? I don't know. I've had some really high highs this year and a lot of mediocrity. Like a lot. I'm upset about it. Goodreads does have another fall list. I'm like, dare I try this again? I don't know. Anywho, have you read any of these? If you have, please share your thoughts down below. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's publishing or if it's me. I'm gonna have to come to Jesus with myself. We need to talk because I want more books that I love. Is that too much to ask? I don't think so. Everything doesn't have to be a 5-star, but damn, at least some more 4s. Shit. Anywho's, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching. Give this a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to. In the description, I'll list the books if you wanna get them, I guess. But my description always has information, ways to contact me or find me on other social media platforms, ways to support my channel if you would like to join my Patreon. They are getting lots of exclusive content like vlogs and things, and of course they like vote on projects and things I read. Yeah, so thank you for watching. Stay blessed, hydrated, moisturized, and sunscreened, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!